Told me numerous times that he had no choice but to take my life as he didn't want to go to jail if I managed to live and call the police. These were the words that Leigh-Ann McKenzie, a South African woman, wrote on her GoFundMe page asking for assistance in October 2024 after enduring a brutal assault in Houstan at the hands of her US boyfriend, Alexander Hay. Now, according to Leigh-Ann, basically what occurred is that she was trying to leave. And I say this on all my videos, but the most dangerous time for you and your abuser is when you try and leave them. I'm not victim blaming, it's just that you don't know how they are going to react. And when you do decide to leave them, you have to do it with a plan. You have to make sure they're not there. You have to make sure someone else is there with you, because otherwise things can get out of control. And Leigh-Ann says in her GoFundMe post that she was running towards the door, but it had 3 locks. And as she was undoing the 3rd lock, he reached her and he grabbed her and he threw her on the floor. And she endured hours of torture and beatings. And when she finally managed to escape, because she was in the bathtub, right? Just lying there, recovering from her injuries. And Ian Alexandra was standing guard with a rifle, but he fell asleep, and that's the only reason she managed to escape. She found the strength to get out of that bathtub, to leave the apartment, and when she was rushed to hospital, she had 3 spinal fractures, laceration above her right eye, she had bruises everywhere, and she was severely beaten and assaulted by this man. Now, Alexandra was right in the fact that he was going to go to jail because he was arrested and charged with family assault. And he managed to get bail. I'm not too sure how that happened, but he was awarded $50,000 worth of bail, which he paid. And the prosecutor in that case still argued that he should be subjected to monitoring, that he should have an ankle monitor, that he should be subjected to house arrest. But somehow he managed to not get these conditions. And this would prove fatal for Leigh-Ann because he would abscond from Texas. He would abscond from Houstan by boarding a flight 2 weeks later and relocating to Brazil, where he had citizenship. Another thing to note is that this man was a felon. He had 2 felonies in his criminal record, and he was only 30 years old at this time. So this is a deeply disturbed and violent young man. Now, we know that Leigh-Ann was left stranded in the US. She's a South African citizen, and she was left stranded because I think Ian Alexandra had been providing for her financially. He also confiscated a lot of her belongings, and he broke her laptop and her phone, so she had no way of communication. And that is why she pleaded for the GoFundMe. And eventually we know that Leigh-Ann found her way back to South Africa. But one thing that we do know is that she was somehow still in contact with this criminal, because she would board a flight on the 18th of July from South Africa, where she would travel to Brazil to meet him. Now, I don't want any comments about she should have left him or why did she go back. We know that with abusers and that women who are abused and have suffered domestic violence, it takes on average 7 or 8 times for them to leave their abuser. And we also know how charismatic abusers can be, how they can convince you that they've changed. We've seen that with Kim White. And unfortunately, Leigh-Ann would fall into the trap of going back to him. And she would arrive in Paraná, Brazil on the 18th of July, and no one would hear from her. Now, on the 20th of July, they were staying in a high-rise building. A child would see blood dripping from the ceiling, and this child would alert their parents, who would call the police, who had 2 days previously, the residents had heard gunshots, but they believed it to be fireworks. And police would discover a grisly scene when they entered the couple's flat. They would find 2 bodies on the bed. They would find 7 cell phones. They would find substances, as well as a lot of substance paraphernalia. And they would find a gun that had been used to kill Leigh-Ann. And it is believed that Ian Alexander Hay turned the gun on himself after killing his girlfriend and fulfilling that promise that he made to her 8 months ago.
A Houston man who fled the country while on bond has been found dead in a high-rise in Brazil.
The woman he's accused of assaulting here in Houston was also found dead in what Brazilian authorities are calling a murder-suicide. KPRC2's Bryce Newberry shares why victim advocates say this could have all been prevented.
This woman survived a brutal attack in Houston, allegedly at the hands of this man. But 2 weeks after he posted bond and got out of jail, Brazilian authorities tell me he arrived in that country. Then, just last week, she showed up there as well, one day before police say he killed her. On the top floor of this high-rise in Curitiba, a city in southern Brazil, these photos show the bloody crime scene where police found a man and woman with ties to Houston dead.
Neighbors notified blood stains in their apartment. At the scene, 2 bodies were found, Ian and Yanni, slumped over the bed.
Brazilian authorities got called to the building on Sunday, 2 days after 27-year-old Leigh-Ann McKenzie, seen here on her Instagram page, arrived in the country, and 1 day after police say she had been shot and killed. Then investigators say a man she met in Houston, Ian Hay, took his own life.
Neighbors reported hearing the gunshots but thought they were fireworks.
Inside the Brazilian apartment, police found a pistol, ammo, cocaine, and hundreds of syringes seen in this crime scene photo. They also seized 6 cell phones, watches, and jewelry. Police say McKenzie went there to meet him, but just 9 months ago, she posted this photo on a GoFundMe. The woman from South Africa writing, "I was assaulted, held captive, and threatened with death. This was done by the guy I was temporarily living with." It happened at a Northwest Houston apartment where Hay allegedly punched and choked her, leaving her with a fractured spine.
The young lady was lucky that she survived an extremely brutal attack.
Hay got arrested, and records show prosecutors asked for 24-hour house arrest and a GPS monitor if he got released on bond. But District Court Judge Deshaun Jones, seen here in a Facebook profile photo, didn't approve those conditions, records show, and by late November, Hay got out of jail on a $50,000 bond. Brazilian police say 2 weeks later he entered that country, where he also held citizenship. But in January, he didn't show up for court in Houston and became a wanted fugitive.
But this is just another situation in which we're treating someone as a domestic violence victim as somebody who really didn't merit the strictest and toughest bond conditions.
The twice convicted felon's hired defense attorney wouldn't comment on Thursday before withdrawing from the case. And while Brazilian police still investigate a motive,
We don't rule out hypotheses of a connection between these crimes.
Houston victim advocates say it's a tragic case that raises questions about what else could have been done.
It perhaps could have been preventable if we had put stricter bond conditions.
Brazilian police tell me they're still awaiting a forensic analysis, and so far, they haven't been able to get a response from law enforcement in America. We did reach out to the judge's office about those bond conditions not being granted. So far, we have not heard back, but advocates admit those conditions are only good if the defendant honors them. I'm Bryce Newberry, KPRC 2 News.
Now, the family needs your help. I'm going to link back a buddy for assistance, if you can assist in any way, to help repatriate Leigh-Ann to South Africa. She was found dead in Brazil, and we know that it is an expensive process. And this family is already undergoing a lot of trauma with the fact that they have lost a child, that the mother has lost a daughter, a brother has lost a sister. And if you could help in any way, please make a contribution towards the family's back-a-buddy. And I guess basically we have to say now that the system has simply just failed Leigh-Ann. I mean, if he had been kept behind bars, if he had been subjected with ankle monitoring, none of this would have ever happened. And Leigh-Ann is just one of millions of domestic violence victims whose deaths could have been prevented just by judges imposing strict conditions against men who hurt women. Now, if you like my videos, please consider giving me a like and a follow, and I will be following any updates in this case and any new revelations that might come out.